Hey everyone, it's Jax again from the Popcorn Review Podcast. Today's gonna be my Monday Night Raw recap for episode 30. It is gonna be for June 6th to there. So this show just pretty much started off with a recap of the main event that happened last week. Um, Pretty much just showing all the interference. To be honest with you, you had Jay interfere, you had Dom interfere, you had CM Punk, you had everybody and their mom got involved in that match pretty much for last week. But they're pretty much just building on the story. I will say I felt like this week was a bunch of segments again. Yes, we had some wrestling in between, but I felt like it was very story driven once again this week. Um, but you did start off with pretty much Michael Cole and Pat McAfee talking about their bet that they had the previous week. So Michael Cole did lose because his Knicks lost, so he had to wear a tank top, but they actually had him just wear a Pacers jersey. Looks like WWE was working with one of the Indiana Pacers players, so he ended up wearing the Pacers jersey. Um, Pretty nice to see, them not being so serious and so full of themselves that they were able to do that. Um, and then after that, you pretty much just saw him in the jersey for the rest of the night. So that was something that happened there. You did have CM Punk come out, and he pretty much just put everybody on notice. If I win this Money in the Bank, Jay, you and I are friends, but it's just business. And he goes, and Cena, if I come after you, it's personal because of their rivalry back in the past. So it makes sense for him to bring those up. Um, but pretty much from there, it was just carried on. You had Sami Zayn come out, pretty much interrupts Punk, and Punk just kind of like danced along with his music, kind of sang it there as well. You did have Sami Zayn pretty much tell Punk, you don't need to win. We need you to win. You have to win this match. You need to win Money in the Bank so this way you can cash in that cash in that briefcase and keep that place away from Seth, keep this place away from Seth's grass. And he kind of got the idea and he told him, he goes, me and Jay have a match later tonight between Braun and Bronson Reed. We need you to stay out of it. You focus on this match to make sure you win and get to where you need to be to make sure that we put you in that spot to win. But Sammy does say, and if you do win, you and I are going to have a separate conversation because I want a shot. So already building for the future. Would love to see Sammy versus CM Punk. Would be kind of nice to be honest with you. Um, so we'll see how that plays out. If you've already watched the show, I will get into it that things aren't the way they wanted it to be, but we'll see what happens. You did have Liv, Raquel, and Roxanne talk in the back for a segment there. And Roxanne Perez that says, "Hey, I'll come out." They're like, "Nah, we don't need your help. We don't need your help." So right after that, there was a match between Liv. You had Stephanie Vakir and then Ivy Niles there for the Money in the Bank qualifier. This match was actually pretty decent. It is Stephanie Vakir's technically first match on Raw as a call up. So she did pretty well. All the girls look actually really strong in this match. Yes, there was no disqualifications like normal in a three-way. But this match, Stephanie Vakir looked nice. She hit both ladies with the Devil's Kiss move, and the whole crowd goes crazy over that. Um, you had Ivy Niles do like a double suplex on the girls, like a super power bomb off the top rope there. And then you had Liv pretty much doing her things too, hitting Oblivion and hitting a double code breaker. So they made all the girls look strong in this match. Um, for a while though, it looked like Ivy was going to win it, which I thought was kind of crazy though, to be honest with you. But Stephanie Vakir does end up winning it, and she just got called up in her first match. She's already in a Money in the Bank. So you do have three new people in the Money in the Bank there. You have Julia, Roxana Perez, and Stephanie Vakir, who all recently just came up in the last week or two to the main roster in the Money in the Bank match. Yes, you have, I think it's Naomi. Yes, you have who else is it? Naomi, you have Rhea and Alexa Bliss. So you have three part of the old regime, but three brand spanking new women's in that match. That's actually kind of exciting. So I can't wait to see that. Don't know if they're going to pull the trigger on Stephanie this fast. She just got there, if that makes sense. And even her time in NXT wasn't that long. So I'd be surprised if they actually pull the trigger, but it'd be kind of nice, even if it's just Roxana Perez or Julia, one of those girls cashes in. I think it might be Naomi, to be honest with you, because she's on that heel turn right now. Even though Roxana Perez is also a heel, she kind of, I don't feel that same from her. So I see maybe Naomi, if she wins, cashes in. I don't know who they want. I like Rhea Ripley a lot. It makes sense for Rhea Ripley to win, but I know a lot of people are tired of seeing Rhea Ripley also. That's why I think it's nice they have new women in this match for this year. So it's going to be nice to see. That match is going to be exciting. Can't wait for this weekend. You did have, AJ Styles talking in the back or getting warmed up for his match for his Money in the Bank qualifying match. And Paul Heyman kind of came up being the devil's advocate again and pretty much just tells AJ, hey, you should not worry about Money in the Bank because you're going to have a lot of responsibility. You're going to have to worry about having a ref on staff or a ref nearby to go ahead and cash that in. So, you should just you should just worry about Dom and the IC title and leave the world title or the Money in the Bank for Seth Rollins. And pretty much AJ was like, pretty much go screw yourself. I'm going to worry about my Money in the Bank tonight. And then from there, I'm going to come after Dom after the fact. So, I mean, AJ's in incredible shape. Yeah, he's getting older. He's probably going to retire in the next few years. It would be nice to see him get another run, honestly. Don't know what they have planned. Um, but it's going to be AJ versus Punk versus Chad and his mask. But after that, you did have another promo with Rusev pretty much talking shit to Sheamus, saying, hey, when back in the day when I got released, you were nowhere to be found. You weren't a friend to me. And yes, you looked down at me like I was nothing, but I don't owe you nothing pretty much. So the next time I see you, I'm taking your head off type of shit. Um, then you had Sheamus kind of talk with the Alpha Academy there, telling that you guys have heart, don't let nobody take that from you. And then he kind of went into his spiel, pretty much telling that, this guy was a best man at my wedding. He was one of my best friends, but Rusev got fired because of Rusev. Rusev was doing some crazy stuff, so that's why he got fired. So he can't blame that on me. But Rusev, I'm telling you now, I'm the bully who beats up bullies. And he pretty much says, I've been putting on bangers since you've been gone this whole time. So just remember who you're talking to. That's going to be a hell of a match. Not sure when it's going to play out. I don't know if it's for Money in the Bank. It's possible, but it's going to be a decent match between the two. Don't know what kind of rivalry they're going to have, but it's going to be a nice match to see. You did have a match there. You had JD and Finn versus the War Raiders. New Day on commentary, talking shit like normal. You did have the New Day for a little bit, try to get into it, and like the ref usually does, you're out of here and kicks them out. Um, so she did kick out the New Day. I even saw on I think it was like on Instagram or Twitter or something that Kofi Kingston is actually filing a complaint against the referee, saying that she shouldn't have kicked them out. They did nothing wrong. So that's actually kind of cool how they kind of jump over into real life and show that there too. So that's pretty cool. But again, the New Day try to get into it. They get kicked out, But Roxanne does get in there and kind of interferes with Ivar. Ivar was on a roll, Eric was on the floor, like he was injured or out of the match at least. And Ivar was on a roll, beating up Finn, taking out JD. And then Roxana gets in, causes him the match. Coup de grace again. Whoever thought of this damn move, the coup de grace, jumping at least 10 feet into the air and landing on somebody with your 2 feet. I don't know how nobody's broken a rib yet, to be honest with you. But JD and Finn pull that one off, and Roxana Perez just looking at him, looking sinister as hell, laughing. They're like, okay, it's a good idea to bring you here. So I think he's kind of working with JD there. Again, like I mentioned, I see JD and Finn and Roxana Perez breaking off and doing their own thing. So it looks like it's going that way. But we'll see how it plays out, honestly. Um, you did have a few things going on there. You had, Becky talking to Lyra, just them girls going back and forth, swinging off on each other. They are going to wrestle at Money in the Bank, so that's going to be kind of exciting. I keep saying Bailey's going to come back. I hope Bailey comes back because it makes sense. Becky took her out. Bailey comes back after she drops the title, grabs the title from Lyra, and then her and Becky fight it out. Don't know if that's going to be the case with Bailey. I hope Bailey comes back, but I don't know if they're gonna insert her into this story just yet. So we'll see how that goes. Um, you did have a match there with AJ Punk, and I'm sorry, that's at the end of the day. Let me go through it. You had a match with Sami Zayn and Jay versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. You did have Jay and Sammy start off in the crowd like Jay usually does, but before he started, he gave Sammy his own gold shades, and it had Sammy across the top. So that was kind of cool. They act like best friends. They act like brothers. So it makes sense. He had him part of his entrance. They did go around out there with the crowd, yeeted with the kids, but Sammy was even dancing in the ring. They were dancing together, so that was nice to see. I still feel like Sammy may turn heel. You do have Kieran Cross keep screwing with him, like talking down to him, like, you're not a nice guy. Stop being this nice guy. You're a bad guy just like me. So it's gonna slowly creep into his head that he has to, for him to win the championship, he's got to be an ass or backstab somebody. So we'll definitely see that happening. Don't know when Sammy will turn, but I definitely see Sammy turning on Jay in the future. But after they had the little party there, everybody eating with the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Paul Heyman. I thought he was going to go into the big spiel like he used to do with Brock Lesnar, but no, he kind of shut everybody up because everybody was expecting it. And then they walk in looking sinister as hell, wearing all black coming in. Um, this match was actually pretty decent. Jay and Braun actually have great chemistry. They feed off of each other. They do really well together. Braun goes for his like super mega spear, whatever you want to call it, and then Jay catches it with that super kick, and Braun does like the 360. That's amazing. Like to time that out that perfectly, these guys have great chemistry. Um, you did have, Sammy started getting beaten down. Um, like usual, the faces, in this case, Jay and Sammy, start getting the better of them. Who jumps in? Seth Rollins gets in there. Even though Sammy and Jay won the match, they did start beating down those guys. They did the tsunami, or Reed did the tsunami to Jay. And just before that, you actually had, Gunther tell Jay like, "Hey, stop getting involved. Stop getting involved. You're gonna get yourself hurt. Remember, you have to wrestle me after Money in the Bank. You already have this match. You had the match with Cody versus Seth there. What are you doing? You're not being a champion. You're not ready for me." He goes, "You're not gonna be 100%," and he's not wrong. Sammy and Jay win that match due to disqualification, but he is not wrong. He's not going to be 100% when he goes against Gunther the following Monday. So we'll see how that plays out. You did have a Judgment Day segment. Again, like I've said, this is very Judgment Day heavy. Um, you did have Liv talk to Finn, like, yeah, I see what you're doing there. You're trying to get in between me and Dom there. And pretty much he says, like, what are you talking about? I brought her here to help you out. It just didn't work out for you, but it worked out for us. Like, there's no reason that you feel that way. I'm not trying to plan anything. Again, he's planting his seeds. I think he's trying to build his own group, like I mentioned. Um, but Liv brings it up. She's like, yeah, the Nuggets and the Nuggies and then the back rubs. Like, what's all that about? Oh, it's nothing. She did come off kind of strong, but I kind of told her to chill out when you got back. So, and then Dom there pretty much talks after that. Liv walks out. Dom there talks to them, talks to Finn. And Finn's like, nah, man, everything's good, man. Everything's good. Wearing his Carlito shirt. And he's like, nah, man, everything's good. Don't worry, champ. And he smacks the title. And then they both kind of look at the title like it's definitely about that. Finn wants that title there. Um, you did have a match there with Kairi Sane and Raquel. They went back and forth there. Um, Raquel was kind of ragdolling her for a while. Kairi Sane there. So definitely ragdolling her, throwing her around, flipping her, slamming her, everything. It was just a total domination, to be honest with you. But Liv tries to get involved, but Io Sky comes in. After that, though, you do see that Kairi Sane does take the win, even though they try to get involved. So Liv lost last week, Raquel lost this week. Just an ongoing losing for the girls' side. Even though they have the tag team titles, they're not doing shit with them. There's no girls that are stepping up. There's no girls who are trying to compete with them. Don't know how long these tag titles are going to last for the women, but as of right now, they're not doing much. At the end of the night, you did have AJ versus Punk versus Chad and his mask. Um, I expected honestly it was going to be AJ or Punk, and then maybe Punk can go after Cena and they could have a little feud before he goes. That's actually what I expected. Um, this was actually the total outcome of this match. I did not expect it. Yes, I expected interference. It was a 3-way, no DQ. Um, but Sammy was doing really well. I'm sorry, Punk was doing really well, and goes for the win, gets dragged out just like the match before with Jay and Sammy. Gets dragged out, gets beat down, and Chad Gable somewhere in between that, he got checked at the beginning of the match to make sure he didn't have the loaded mask or the little thing in his mask, little plate. They checked him, they checked his boots, everything. But somewhere along the match where all the interference that took place, he loaded the mask up again and knocks these guys out, wins the match. So Chad Gable is going to be on Worlds Collide that day, that morning, and also be in Money in the Bank. Now, he's going to be they were saying he's going to pull double duty. I'm shocked as hell, honestly. Did not expect Chad Gable to win this. Especially after what we heard this weekend. They're releasing R-Truth. They're releasing Carlito because of their got funny gimmicks, but then you got this guy that's an American pretending to be a Mexican luchador and poking fun at luchadors. How does that not follow the same suit? If anything, Chad technically, or this mass persona, should be fired for the same thing. It's a joke gimmick. Even this entire night, I was waiting till the end of this video. Even this entire night, you had multiple instances of people saying, "We want truth." Yeah, we want R-Truth. He's been there for the last 15 years. Like, what are y'all doing? He literally just had a segment with John Cena as Saturday night's main event. Yes, it was a non-title shot. He's been on TV with LWO, with the Judgment Day, with the Miz tag team champions. This is all relatively the last year to a few months. What is going on? Carlito, I kind of get it. Carlito was there. He was more in the background guy. He was still a comedic relief for that group. But even like I said, Dom was wearing Carlito's shirt, but Carlito was nowhere to be found. R-Truth, nowhere to be found. So they're not going to renew these guys' contracts, and they're acting like they don't exist. You can definitely tell throughout the night when they were saying, "We want truth," because the volume to the TV or the volume to the audio to this TV was switched over to something else or got lower. So they were trying to shut the crowd up. Now, I also saw online that R-Truth is saying that he was offered a contract for half or less than what he was making this previous contract, and he said no. Of course he said no. He has the right to say no. The man's been there for, like I said, over 15 years, has done everything you guys have asked him to do, has 24/7 champ, the most reigns of 24/7 champ, made that title. It was a joke title, but made that title what it was. Um, he has impersonated John Cena as Ron Cena, was the number one selling shirt, I think, for those 2 weeks. Then you get rid of him? How does that make sense? The dude embodied John Cena in Saturday night's main event. Came out dressed like him, did all his mannerisms, did his moves in the ring. Excuse me. Did his moves in the ring. Embodied John Cena during that match. That guy will do whatever you guys ask him to do. He did Awesome Truth with The Miz multiple different times. He's had multiple different tag team partners. Anything you have put R-Truth in, he has been successful. Don't understand. I mean, even Carlito, successful. The dude was in segments with the LWO with Ray. Turned on them. Had stuff in Puerto Rico. Ended up going to the Judgment Day, working with the Judgment Day for the last year or so, and it was always on TV. Always with Dom, always with Finn, always in the back with JD. How do you guys have these guys on TV and then just cut them like they don't exist? Did the same thing to Braun Strowman. Braun literally had a segment with Jacob Fatu to get to the U.S. title shot. Was there for a few weeks with him and then lost and then got cut a couple weeks later or a couple days later, actually. I gotta understand it. Record breaking. You guys keep saying it. WWE is record breaking. The biggest box office for every pay per view, every show you guys do. Everything's the biggest in history, but you can't afford to pay some of your guys who've been loyal to you. Like I even heard The Miz got rid of everything from WWE after he found out about what happened to Truth. His contract's also coming up. So I wonder if they're going to keep The Miz because The Miz's gimmick is also a jokey gimmick for the most part. What are you going to do there? I heard Gunther's contract is also coming up. What are you going to do with Gunther? You're going to cut Gunther? You just had Gunther in a major storyline and you about to have him wrestle Jay the following Monday. So if he loses to Jay, you're going to cut him too? Like, I just don't understand the logic. You guys keep bringing in YouTubers, keep bringing in iShowSpeed, Logan Paul, all these guys and paying them. From what I hear, Logan Paul's making more than some of these other guys who have put the time in to be a WWE superstar. And he's only been there for what, 3 to 5 years and getting paid more than some of those guys. I know that's his contract. He's probably got amazing agents. But why are you screwing up people that you yourself built up? Like before it was like, oh, we're releasing people. Now you're just not, following AEW again. You're not going to do anybody's new contract, re-sign them. You're just going to release them. But you don't want to be compared to AEW. You don't find AEW a competitor, but you're kind of doing the same things, You work with GCW, work with TNA, you bought AAA. All three of those companies AEW worked with before you. Come on, guys. Especially R-Truth. That dude would be on TV and he would always make somebody laugh, always put on a great performance. Yes, he's getting older. I understand that. You could have had R-Truth as a mouthpiece for somebody. You could have had R-Truth work with Carmelo Hayes. Wow, that would have been something to see. Carmelo could talk his ass off and have R-Truth backing him. He could have turned on R-Truth and made the heat on Carmelo Hayes that much more. That would have been great to see. You cut R-Truth and Carlito. Yes, I know there's going to be more cuts coming, but these two, especially Truth, these two hurt. Like, I'm surprised you're not going to hear more "We Want Truth" for the next few weeks or so. I already saw they blew up on Twitter and Instagram when Triple H announced stuff and Adam Pearce announced stuff. It just kept saying hashtag "We Want Truth." Guys, we want R-Truth back in some capacity, even if he's not in the ring every day. We want R-Truth back. He was a big part of WWE. It's crazy that he's gone. Hopefully he comes back. We'll see how it goes, guys. But as of right now, I know a lot of people are upset. And again, we want truth. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great one.